Special event alert.
The door is shut and the meeting light is on, which means you are late for Changeover, your weekly space news and variety show. I'm your host, Marty Smith, and I'm joined by Mr. History, Eric Perrott.
What's going on, dudes?
And our man in the closet, Jake Wall.
Eric, you liked that one, didn't you?
I did.
I did not. I was like, boo. If I could have booed during the intro, I would have.
You can. Feel free to boo. Because I'm going
No,
to
Eric
get
was
it.
loving it. I was like,
I like that.
We're here to bring you the latest headlines and updates pertinent to all Guardians and to the other lower branches as well. So take your seats, get informed, and have a laugh as we present Late for Changeover.
Late for Changeover.
So, let's see. What was I going to... I don't remember.
That's a good start.
we're on fire tonight.
In the
at
the end of the debate, when Joe Biden said he was a sixth handicap, Eric, just how good is a sixth handicap?
That's pretty good.
So is that 6 over par? Like if the course is 72, he shoots a 78
No.
on average? Is that how that works?
My understanding of a handicap is they add an additional 8 to each score for each hole.
Oh, what? Wait,
Yeah,
what?
To your total?
I'll have to Google.
Oh, you got to
'cause I don't
Google
know.
this. But you golf all the time.
That's
why-
what I thought. I thought
I
you
do.
would know.
I do, but I don't have a handicap.
You know what he's
But he
doing?
doesn't keep score.
He's giving
Everybody
me
wins in Eric's golf land.
That's why I'm so good. I don't need a
It's a
handicap.
retiree
Love
golf game.
handicaps.
Jake. He's given us the security officer doublespeak right there. Yeah, I think.
Look, we called out.
That should work.
Yeah, that should work. Just send that off. If it
Just
doesn't,
take
let me
this,
know in a
drive
week.
2 hours, and show them this PSQ. They should be good.
Really? They
Oh,
didn't
you weren't?
let you in?
They didn't accept that?
What? Every
All right,
time.
so here you go.
All right.
If you're new to golf, starting to take your rounds more serious, understanding your golf handicap is a necessity. Golf
Story
handicaps
time with
are
Eric.
a number that represents the golfer's ability based on their previous golf round scores. It serves the purpose of comparing your performances with other golf players. For men, your golf handicap is generally between 0 and 28. That's bullshit. So knowing your handicap is a must when a player wants to participate in a tournament. Your handicap is a great equalizer.
How does it calculate it?
What is your handicap? More importantly, how do you calculate it?
Oh,
New handicap
hold
calculation
your
changes
horses, Marty.
were
Jeez.
introduced in 2020. So we'll go over what the handicap is.
Marty has regrets.
It's hurting your head. We should move on. I'll get it and bring it back to you.
All right. All right. Here's
Alrighty,
the other
like-
little capper.
Wait, I got it.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm just going to get this will be quick.
I'm
For
excited.
example, let us say you and a friend are going to play 18 holes of a golf course with a par 72. So shooting 72 is you got it in the hole on the required
Zeros.
shots, right? Right. Your friend with a golf handicap of 6 is expected to play 78 strokes or 6 over par. So that is really good.
So
Is
the
that what I
number
asked at
of
the beginning
strokes
of this
over
whole-
par. You were right, Marty. Good job. It's the number of strikes
Swimming
over
pool.
par that you're expected to get.
strikes.
Yep.
Shots. Shots.
Spares. So if
So-
you get 4 spares,
If you go to YouTube and look at Biden hitting a golf ball, he's not a 6 handicap. No.
I don't think I look at it a different way. I look at it like golf takes a long fucking time. And if you're wasting our money that much and you're not in the office doing your job enough to get your score up to a 6, I'm getting pissed off. You're
Well,
wasting my tax.
And he did mention that he was an 8, and by the time he was done being vice president, he had gotten it down to a 6. And I'm like, what kind of accomplishment is that to throw out to
That's
the nation
what I did
and
as
the world?
VP.
So
I think they're both full of shit, their golf games.
I agree. And that's back to you,
Yeah,
Eric.
but it helps when you own your own golf course. I mean, you're like fucking Ted
Eric.
Knight in Caddyshack.
Playing
It's like,
every day.
don't count that. Winner rules, right? Yes, Mr. Trump.
Yes. Fluff that
Hey,
up a little bit, pull it out of the divot.
You
Let's
shot
go.
par again. He's like, goddamn right I did.
We used to say that was Willie Nelson par. Yep, that was a 3. That was a 3. Yep. Willie Nelson par.
Oh, that's very good. All right. That's a hell of a start. So, let's get to the news. I know these are stories sent to us from our very own man in the closet, Jake Wall. So I appreciate the initiative, the using your time at work wisely.
Don't rat me out.
You're fired.
Don't you rat me out. Yeah.
I mean, being able to do this in addition to a full 10 hours of work every day that you put in, that you only get paid for 40. So,
Good
Amen.
Okay, so it's got a couple of new twists in it, right? So, and we're kind of following this saga. So there's 2 stories we seem to inadvertently keep following: Beards and Boeing Starliner. Right. So this the original story, or the first story that Jake sent me, was from Fox News. Starliner was astronauts' lifeboat if shattered Russian satellite hit space station. So you'll remember last week, the day we posted our podcast is like a Russian satellite blew up. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows why. It just blew up. And the pieces were in such an orbit that they started coming towards near the ISS. Now, I don't think they got within 20K of it or something like that, but they took precautions. So
It was the Ukraine thing, man.
It could have been. Stand by. There's more on that. So astronauts on the International Space Station strapped into their, quote, lifeboat vehicles, end quote, and braced for an emergency evacuation after a defunct Russian satellite shattered into hundreds of pieces. Steve Stitch, manager of NASA's Commercial Crew Program, said, "We used Starliner for that safe haven capability. The astronauts got in the spacecraft, powered the vehicle up, closed a hatch, and were ready to execute an emergency unlocking from the ISS and landing back on Earth if necessary."
Good luck.
The Russian satellite, the Resurs P-1 Russian Earth observation satellite, was declared dead in 2022. You ever hear a satellite be declared dead? I've never heard it called dead.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard it's just inactive or it's inert or something like that, right? Flight 23 was definitely dead. It broke up into over 100 pieces of debris last Wednesday and occurred in an orbit near the space station. So now here's the interesting story, part of the story. First interesting part of the story. Why did the Russian satellite break up? Well, Russia, this is a little bit going back in history. Russia sparked strong criticism from the U.S. and other Western countries in 2021 when it struck one of its defunct satellites in orbit with a ground-based anti-satellite missile launched from its Plesetsk rocket site. All right, so I think it was a couple of years after China did it, and then Russia did it. So they shot a missile up, and it hit their satellite, exploded, so they could show this capability, right? The blast, testing a weapon system ahead of Moscow's 2022 invasion of Ukraine, created thousands of pieces of orbital debris. So interesting timing, right? Now, for this satellite, because there were some observers that said, hey, it kind of broke up for a long time, over several hours. It wasn't just like one big explosion. But in the roughly 88-minute window of Resurs P-1's initial breakup, the Plesetsk site was one of many locations on Earth it passed over. But there's no immediate indication from airspace or maritime alerts that Russia had launched a missile to strike the satellite. So,
convenient.
Space laser, maybe?
Pew, pew.
You know, a lot of things happen in that part of the world. Russian pipeline. How did that happen? I don't
Boeing
know.
did it so they could articulate their vehicle as being the rescue vehicle if it need be.
Boeing did it so the CEO could get another 40% raise on you.
Yeah, that could be it too. Yeah.
Can you imagine that though? They're telling you don't come back using that Starliner. It's got leaks. We don't want you to leave yet. We don't, right?
Oh, hold on. I
Now
got
it's
more
a
for you on
safety
that.
vehicle.
I got a video to
Exactly.
show you for that one too, right?
Better than just jumping out, I guess.
I get.
Well, here's a second part of the story that I thought was interesting. Okay, so we're back to the ISS, and this part is taken from Reuters. So, but before I read this, do you have any idea how many people are on the ISS right now? I didn't.
I do not.
4 or 5.
No, there's like there's 4, 7, there's 9.
Holy
Right?
crap.
In total, huh?
Yeah.
So once
there's
again,
9. I had to look it up.
The shitter's full again. These guys are still on the.
That's
frickin' station.
exactly right.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that there were 9 people up there. And did you know that there's a Russian spaceship attached to it and a SpaceX spaceship attached to it? And so they got to be like at Chow Hall, like dogging these guys out, right? They're like, when you guys leaving? You guys are in shit. Yeah.
Come on,
You're in that
guys.
Boeing vehicle? What?
Brought that jalopy up here.
Oh my God.
So the 6 U.S. astronauts currently on the space station were alerted by NASA Mission Control in Houston around 9 on last Wednesday to execute safe haven procedures where each crew member rushes into the spacecraft they arrived in case an emergency departure is required. NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams boarded their Starliner spacecraft. 3 of the other U.S. astronauts and a Russian cosmonaut went into SpaceX's Crew Dragon capsule.
I'd have went that way too.
Yeah.
They probably were trying to get down the hallway, and they were just like pushing them back, and they were floating back, like, come on!
Come
I'd have
on.
been in the yeah.
Hey, open
You
the
guys have
door!
plenty of room.
I'm an
Come on.
American too.
So they went into the SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule that flew them to station in March, while the last U.S. astronaut who had come up with a couple Russian guys on the Soyuz capsule, they went into their capsule. The astronauts emerged from their spacecraft roughly an hour later and resumed their normal work on the station. All right. So that was but imagine what they've had to go through. Butch Williams and Sonny.
Yeah.
What's her last name? Sonny. Oh, I'm sorry, Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams. So they they're about ready to go. They scrub the launch. Okay. They get back in, I think a week later or whatever, they go up and they're like, oh, hey, you got 5 helium leaks and 5 thruster leaks. It's going to be a bitch to dock, right? So they dock and then they go, we're going to keep you up there so we can test the lunar module or whatever the module is that's going to burn up. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought, oh, that's smart because they're going to destroy it all. But you know what else they've done? I read in this. They have taken those thrusters, exact thrusters, and they shipped them out to like the testing place, and they're testing these, which takes like 2 weeks to test them. So they're waiting on the ground for the results of these tests to come back from the lab or whatever to see if that tells them anything to do. So
With their stuff.
Right. So I didn't realize there were 9 people up there, 3 spaceships. So I guess they could have gone, it would have been okay, right?
Honey, I'm going to be late for my son's football game. I'll be late.
So that's what I thought was interesting. And there's a site called Who Is in Space. I know it's
appropriate.
It almost sounds like a dumb stoners, right? Hey, who's in space, right? And it shows the 2 astronauts from Boeing who are up there. It shows the 3 Americans and 1 Russian on the SpaceX. It shows the 3, 1 American and 2 Russians from the Soyuz. And then it also shows 3 Chinese astronauts on their own space station or whatever they're working on, right? So there's 12 people in space right now.
So not all of those guys are prior or active duty military either, right? They're just civilians, right?
I think some of them are payload
trained.
specialists. You know, they weren't anything, but no, it's not like the old Apollo program where they're
Where you
taking
were
pilots, and
yeah.
you know, now it's I don't know.
Anybody that can pass the rigors.
I don't know if that. Remember,
Rigors
we
of
went over
space.
that. I don't think there's as many riggers as there was anymore. But
Just throw you in and go.
yeah.
Are half of them like scientists then?
I think that started back in the shuttle, right? When they started taking like Chris McAuliffe, and they started taking teachers and stuff up there. You
Might
know?
have seen what happened in that one.
Jesus, Eric.
Sorry.
True. That is true.
Well, that wasn't her fault.
And you didn't learn your
just
lesson,
saying,
Marty?
Civilians,
I'm just
not
warning you.
military.
You didn't
Should've
go on the
learned your
vomit
lesson.
comet. That's the problem. Yeah.
That's terrible.
Oh, cold-blooded, Eric.
I'm sorry.
Well, let's move on. This is interesting.
That was harsh.
All right. This is yet another story sent to me by our very own Jake Wall.
Jake's
And this
been
time I
busy.
remembered to put
fire.
the banner up.
Oh,
So,
fuck.
NASA offers SpaceX $843 million to destroy the International Space Station.
Well, oh my God, we just almost did it. Now we're going to.
Yeah, we just got up there, and SpaceX now take it down. So, NASA is preparing to destroy the ISS, awarding SpaceX up to $843 million contract to push the station safely out of orbit and back to Earth. According to the space agency's plan, SpaceX's specially designed deorbit vehicle will drag the football field-sized ISS back to Earth sometime after the end of its operational life in 2030. The ISS will smash into our planet's atmosphere at a speed of more than 17,000 miles per hour before landing in a crashdown spot in the ocean. Deorbiting the space station, quote, supports NASA's plans for future commercial destinations and allows for the continued use of space near Earth. The floating laboratory's first parts were launched in 1998. I thought it was a little older than that, but I guess 1998.
Well, they had the Mir space station.
Well, and that's
Before
what
that, right?
they said. They deorbited the Mir back in, I don't know. I had the date, but now I don't know.
We talked about that because I was like, remember that Taco Bell ad?
Yeah, it was a hit here, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
probably could now with SpaceX. They were like,
Oh, if SpaceX wanted
Are
to
they in the
stick it to
parking lot?
Taco Bell, that'd be
Taco Bell's
hilarious.
silent now. They're like, well,
Yeah,
maybe we shouldn't
we're not
put
saying
this thing up
anything
here.
else.
Right?
Because everybody in the
Park in the
world
parking
would
lot.
get a taco if the
Right,
if
right.
that-
It says the space station is showing its age, technical faults, and leaks continue to cause issues for crews, and the contracts between the 5 participating national space agencies will end by 2030. So it's unclear when exactly they're going to bring it down. Probably when like a new one is up. But if it turns into like the B-52, they're like, well, it's actually still serving a purpose. We'll
Give it some new avionics and leave it
You
alone.
read that one line though that would clear for more opportunities in low Earth orbit, right?
Right. I mean,
So-
that's got to be a big barrier, right?
Leo is
So-
really contested right now, and one of the biggest issues is the manned space flights.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they'll bring people back up.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, I think they will because I have a couple examples of the new space stations that are coming online, right?
Oh, look at you!
So the ISS will likely continue its work until the commercial space stations slated to replace it. Commercial space stations, which means these guys are going to charge you like, oh, US, there's a docking
SpaceX.
fee now, right?
You're coming up.
So
Okay, that'd be awesome. Like the mirrors are all like this, and now everything looks kind of like this.
right.
But if SpaceX did like freaking a massive-
Oh, a big X, like Professor X-Man kind of thing.
That'd
Oh,
be
yeah. So ISS will stay up there until the commercial space stations slated to replace it come online. These include Axiom Space's Axiom Station. So these aren't the greatest pictures; they're all renderings. Hold on, let me do that.
That's because it's not up
But
there.
this is what Axiom Space Station is going to look like, and it shows the
Commercial
gradual
space
how they're going to put it up, and that's sort of how it's going to look, right? Nice and pretty. And then the other one is by Blue Origin and Sierra Space. It's called Orbital Reef. That's Orbital Reef's artist rendition.
That's pretty cool.
Man, looks pretty nice.
See the ship on the front of it? That's pretty badass.
It's like the Marriott in the desert. So, so they'll probably wait until those are online. But 2030, that's not that far away.
No,
so.
SpaceX
and
didn't provide a rendering.
Who?
SpaceX.
They said these are the two top ones. I don't know if they're the only ones, but they're the ones who are planning to build their space station up there.
So my imagination, or is Blue Origin really developing into a huge space contract?
Well, they're getting contracts, but they haven't really
contracts.
done
They haven't done. Yeah, exactly.
So they haven't solved it. Okay, haven't done it.
But it's Bezos, so he's getting contracts. So
that's a lot of money coming in.
That is a lot of money, right? So that's that's what's going on with the ISS. I thought it was interesting that we had more. I mean, everybody was like, "Oh, these guys on the Boeing capsule, they're stranded up there." And they're like, "There's fucking 9 other people up there."
They got buddies.
Yeah, but their pods work. That's the problem. The Boeing capsule is like, we'll run some tests. We'll get back to you in a week.
The guys with
popsicle.
The guys with SpaceX on their Crew Dragon, they're like, "Hey, just take ours back. Elon will launch another one up here next week. Yeah, just take ours, man. Borrow our car.
They're like,
it's okay.
Our suits, they don't work with the touch screen. We can't do it.
You got to plug shit in still.
Where's my joystick?
Damn it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So anyway, they're still up there, and there's still no date of return. So they still have not announced a date of return. But everybody who does an interview about them is like, they prepared for this. They look forward to spending extra time in space, and it's all under control. Everybody's very calm about it who does it. And it probably is. But still, going back to those 2 astronauts, they get delayed because of a leak. They launch, get 5 leaks. They have a hard time docking. Now they're delayed up there. Now they're like, "Oh shit, a Russian satellite just broke up. Duck and cover," right? They're like, "Son of a bitch,
get on the ship that doesn't work."
You think by now they're like, "Boeing, are we coming back? What's going on, man? What's going on?" They're like, "Oh, a couple more weeks. A couple more
Boeing,
weeks."
why do I have to sign this life insurance thing again? I don't get it.
Just standard. We forgot that before you left. So yeah. So
cancel policy.
But here was I forgot. This was the other part of the video, or there was a video that I saw on YouTube, right? And they were bringing up some of the issues that Boeing Starliner had. Well, this is another issue that didn't really make the press. So I thought you guys would be entertained by it.
Boeing is under constant fire for failing to return the astronauts from the International Space Station. Adding fuel to the fire, an old footage is resurfacing all over social media, making everyone worry even more about the astronauts. The footage shows Boeing's Starliner spacecraft being rolled out to the launch pad for its second attempt to dock with the International Space Station. In the video, captured by a news videographer, a piece of the capsule's window appears to pop off and fall to the asphalt during transport. This incident shows the procession stopping briefly to check for damage before resuming its journey to Space Launch Complex 41 in Cape Canaveral, Florida. The window issue raises questions about how the Starliner can withstand the extreme conditions of space travel, especially during re-entry.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm like, re-entry.
I would say,
aren't the Boeing
the
planes randomly opening hatches?
Yes.
Boeing has an issue with these hatches. Man,
So-
I'd hate to be quality assurance in that hatch factory.
Ooh.
You know,
Whew.
I mean
It fell off.
these astronauts and everything, they're all cool customers, right? They're very cool.
Ooh.
They're very smart. They're very technical. They're very capable. But you know, these two got to be going, oh, are we really trusting this thing to get us back to Earth? I mean, you got to be worried, right? You got to be nervous.
How can you not be? With all the mishaps,
Yeah.
and now it's not even.
I never
we're
even
just
saw
cruising
that
it
before.
To the
Yeah.
freaking
Dude.
launch pad. And it
That's
falls
hilarious. Just the wind in Florida blew it apart.
off.
Gosh dang it.
I told you to put the duct tape on that thing.
I did. I used
Yeah,
Gorilla
Did you
Tape.
not tell three twists. 3 twists.
Oh my god!
So I thought you guys get a kick out of that. You know, I really do hope for the best. That would be just completely tragic, but God, they got to be nervous. They have to be nervous.
I
So,
recommend we contact Boeing for a statement.
Slate for
And then we're like,
changeover.
who?
podcast.
Who are you guys?
We want a
Like, I'm
statement.
Mr. History. Don't you know me?
You get late for changeover.
We want a statement,
We
man.
got 127 regular listeners.
We got
Know who you're dealing
127
with?
1 minute
Oh, sure.
listeners, so you know,
We'll
hey,
write that right up for you, Eric. and,
doing pretty
send
good.
it
Okay, let's get into some fun. And this next story, I want to know, Eric,
Sir.
how this next story happens. Okay. This is from the Charlotte Observer and directly involves Guardians. It's reposted at military.com. A mom breaches Space Force base with 4-year-old and flees in a stolen car. It's so ridiculous. It's
Same
almost
way
like
a tank rides around California for 6
well,
months. without
there's
being
that too.
found.
Yeah. But this is just a mom with her 4-year-old. So forgive me because this is all taken from an affidavit. It's very sketchy. There's more questions than it answers, right?
Oh, I like it.
It generates more questions than it answers. A woman was with her 4-year-old son when she breached a U.S. Space Force base and stole a man's car, resulting in a high-speed chase in 2 Central Florida counties. Krishna J. Janoski, 29, of it says Cocoa. I assume that's Cocoa Beach. I don't know if there's just a Cocoa, Florida.
Eric's our Florida representative.
But she
think it's
broke
just Cocoa
in,
Beach.
or she broke into Patrick Space Force Base in Brevard County, damaging the base's flight line gate in February. She is charged in federal court with unauthorized entry onto a military installation, grand theft auto, fleeing, and eluding law enforcement, and damaging government property. So here's what went down. On February 7th, Janoski rammed into Patrick Space Force Base's gate with her car and entered the military installation while driving with her child. Janoski didn't have the credentials to be on the base. On the grounds of the facility, she exited her car, grabbed her son, and then entered a man's vehicle as he was sitting in the driver's seat. Where were the cops?
Well, I have a question. How did she enter? There's concrete barriers, there's serpentine.
Right.
Did she run through a fence that didn't have any of this stuff in her way?
I don't know. Does any gate really use that old system with the one bar that
clamshell.
comes down?
Well, they've got the barriers that pop up.
Yeah, they
now,
have the
Yeah,
bullets.
the bollards, right?
right.
Those things are
But I
cool.
mean, but
And
you
the
got to
wall.
pop them up. But if they're not popped, I suppose.
And were there were there Space Force cops or were they contractors?
I don't think there's such a
Right.
thing as Space Force cops. I think.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, you
I'm
mean
talking about military versus
regular
contracted.
Air Force security forces?
Yeah,
Or rent-a-cops,
rent-a-cops.
right? Okay, I don't know. That's a good point.
I think if they were military, they would be hesitant to pop that barricade if there's a kid in the car.
If
Yeah.
if they knew it, and then the first thing we're taught is you have to assess the threat before you engage.
Yeah.
How bad is this woman? Did you see a weapon? Is
Sure.
she just in a vehicle
Yeah.
running for? So there's a lot of assessing going on.
And it could have
of the
been.
threat.
It could have been just a normal pass-through. She
Sure.
looks at her ID and is like, "Ma'am," and she hits the gas. There's nothing up right there at that point,
Yeah.
right? So let's assume that happened.
Nice.
Okay. So
I'm
she
going
had.
to also assume that she is a jilted lover and her
Well,
baby's father's on base.
Who's probably a
That
cop.
makes sense.
Yep. That's a good call. Security forces. They're impregnating all our women.
He may have told her he was working that day
Oh,
when he wasn't. You know
wasn't
what I
at the
mean?
gate.
Classified
So-
TDY.
On the grounds. Okay, so she had enough time to drive to somewhere, get out, get her baby, and then get in somebody else's car as he was sitting there. Janoski then placed her child in the back seat of the man's car, and he got out of his vehicle upon request by base personnel. That doesn't make any sense to me. Then she, quote, jumped into the driver's seat and fled with his vehicle.
We're not getting a lot of information here.
No, but I love it. I love
The
it. So
picture
let's
is
just go with
blurry.
it. Let's just go with it. Let's say the cops are still like, hey, did she just drive through? Yeah, what are we supposed to do? I don't know. Check the checklist. Where's the checklist? Ah, shit, it's in the back.
You know, they rolled up and were like, get out of the vehicle. And the military
The
guys,
guy-
oh,
the-
okay.
The guy was
she's
like,
like,
okay. And she's like,
So if
Get
you
out of the vehicle.
look back at incidents of gates being ran,
yeah.
you'll find that most Air Force cops engaged with their weapons.
Well,
They
right.
ran through a barrier or a gate, not following instructions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what's this story leaves a lot to be desired. So we're going to fill in the gaps. All right. We'll do the favor and fill in the gaps.
I like it.
So she jumped in the man's car, fled with his vehicle. In the man's car, Janoski, now she must be off base because it said led Brevard County deputies on a chase into the neighboring Indian River County, where the county's deputies joined a pursuit.
Wow.
So she must have driven back off the vehicle.
Yeah, it's
Or-
federal.
The same
right?
gate waving.
Multiple
"Yeah,
counties.
Thanks, fellas.
Right,
Thanks,
right.
fellas."
Nice.
One Indian River County deputy was able to completely stop Janoski after deputies deployed 2 sets of stop sticks. Have you ever used those, Eric? Are they
Yeah.
worth it?
Oh, they'll stop it. Yeah.
Oh, they will?
It
Okay.
trashes your tire immediately.
Oh, does it really?
Immediately. Yeah. It
And
shreds
these
it.
are the ones that you can just kind of throw out and they kind
Yeah.
of.
You roll them out like a bowling ball
I
roll.
was way off. I thought they were just billy clubs you were beating people with. You're like, this is my stop stick.
No.
Stop
It's going
doing
in your spokes.
it. Stop resisting.
Very few Air Force bases have it, believe it or not.
Listen to the stop stick.
So, yeah.
Why are you doing the lisp with that?
I don't know.
Stop stick.
It's not funny you're talking about cops here, pal.
Oh,
That's why
we're not
it's
talking
funny.
about all cops.
Some cops tend to beat people.
Sure.
Just
After her arrest, Janoski said that she was at a now here's the story that really leaves a lot to the imagination. Janoski said that she was at a hotel with her son before she arrived at Patrick Space Force Base. She told a deputy that veterans were at the hotel, and she was, quote, fearful of them, not knowing if they were there to help her or not, end quote. She left the hotel and followed a car once she arrived at Patrick Space Force Base. Once on the base, she was then directed to pull over, and fearful of what, quote unquote, they were going to do, she got into the man's vehicle. Janoski said she didn't know the driver of the vehicle she's accused of carjacking, and that she didn't pull over for deputies during the chase out of fear. Fear.
Fear.
An Indian River County, she was charged with felony fleeing and eluding, grand theft auto, and child neglect without great bodily harm. The state case against Janoski was closed on June 28th. She is accused of causing more than $1,000 worth of damage to Patrick Space Force Base's flight line gate. Yeah, flight line gate. If Janoski is convicted on all counts, she faces a maximum penalty of 30 years in federal prison.
Doesn't that
My
almost sound like she ran like a restricted area gate?
I
Those flight lines are a restricted area.
again, this story is from affidavits, so it's all like
Wow.
police report stuff, and it's the Charlotte Observer. So they probably were like, this story makes no sense. And I'm like, I know, but that's all I could get. So
it's a little weird.
it's not as fun as the guy who stole the Humvee in California,
Wow,
but
that
it's
guy's a
close.
legend.
It's close, right?
Mm.
Slow news day.
I am
Thank you for the
amazed.
2 stories
Yeah,
you sent
get
me,
it.
Jake, or I would have been leading with Janoski.
All right.
All right,
mean,
let's close.
You put the kid bonus points for putting the kid in the back.
Yeah.
Bonus points for checking the rear seat,
Right.
grabbing the kid.
Did she seatbelt him? You don't know.
Well, me, man. Hey, how many times were you seatbelted in there?
Yeah, that's
As
true.
a kid?
Yeah.
Probably not a lot.
You were
You
on a bench
It is.
seat with no middle seat belt, right?
buckle your seatbelt.
Yeah.
At best, or just
You know what
down.
your seatbelt was, Eric? It's your dad holding your chest as he's driving like that.
Across the bench.
Right?
Yeah. Remember those station wagons that either had the side by side door
Or the
in
rear
the
facing
far back,
ones?
or so
Yeah.
you could see the rear end accident coming. Yeah.
Oh, well, how many times you ride in the back of a pickup
Oh,
and just
yeah,
get
that's-
thrown around, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Jesus.
Plenty.
So, let's close this out with a fun one that I found at the last minute. This is kind of cool. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Out of stripes.com, the bat insignia on a Marine stealth fighter in Japan is a minor star on social media. So that part's not important, but it flew and everybody took pictures of this damn thing. The F-35B Lightning II, assigned to the Marine Fighter Attack Squadron 242 at Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni, Japan, appeared over the base June 11th with outgoing Commander Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Millman on his final flight at the end of his 20-year career. It bore the noteworthy insignia of the squadron's namesake mascot. The paint scheme emphasizes the agility and stealth of the F-35B. Colonel Kyle Shoup, Marine Aircraft Group 12 commander, told Stars and Stripes. So this is what they're talking about. They have a bat painted on it.
The Batman. That is
How
badass.
cool is that, right?
Badass.
The paint scheme emphasizes the agility and stealth of the F-35B, Colonel Shoup said. The bats have Marine Aircraft Group 12, also known as the Bats, unveiled the newly painted F-35B aircraft to showcase the new squadron logo. The Bats have a proud heritage in Marine Corps aviation and continue that legacy as one of 2 permanently forward-based F-35B squadrons in the Indo-Pacific. So, and here's another shot of it.
Damn, that's cool.
I know.
I think it's pretty cool.
Imagine if you had that damn thing painted underneath and you saw that coming at your ass.
Oh, yeah. Sweet.
That's pretty cool. It almost looks like
that's-
a mustache, though, doesn't it?
Well, a bit. Yeah, maybe they curved the wings down a little too much, you know. It does look a little chocula there, but it is cool that at least they're painting on the vehicles again. And they wanted to make sure, rest assured, this does not compromise the stealth principles or anything of the F-35. So
That's a wicked ass airplane, man. I like it.
I like it too. I just don't. I don't know if we're supposed to like trust it. I mean, the maintenance and the cost. I mean, I'm still sold on the F-22, and that seems to be retired as fast as it was like in service.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we've got 150 of them. It was like, cut them. It's like, what?
Man, yeah, both. Because that was the Joint Strike Fighter.
The F-35 is, I think.
Right.
Right.
The F-22 was a Raptor.
Yeah, the F-22 was just supposed to be air superiority. So,
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of like, did you ever see that movie Pentagon Wars about the development of the Bradley fighting vehicle
I'm not.
and how they gave them initially they were like, here's the requirements of the vehicle that we want. So they like started building it, and they're like, well, we actually want it to swim too. And they're like, oh shit, well that wasn't in the original thing. And then they go, we also wanted to do this. So they kept changing requirements. And the story of how the Bradley came about was just this. It went inordinate costs, like crazy costs. And it sounds like the F-35 is kind of doing that, but they're finding the maintenance costs of the F-35 so high, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it is cool. There's a lot of cool ability on it.
Has it seen any combat in? Because I think we talked about that once before.
What did we
combat
do?
Flight?
The F-22 has
22 shot down balloons.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That was it, right? That's it.
Yeah,
I thought the F-35 saw service in the desert somewhere, though. No, maybe not. Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think so. That was all.
It seems like see how it handled itself.
As soon as they try to make it one tool does everything, or one aircraft does everything, one Bradley vehicle does everything.
Right.
It just
doesn't serve the purpose.
Did you hear me ask? Eric, did you ever see that movie Pentagon Wars about the?
Yeah, that's what I was listening.
The changing requirements on the Bradley. So
yeah,
it's definitely.
But
no
I mean, before we had
B-36.
specialized, right? We had specialized aircraft, right?
Yeah.
Except for the C-130, that one will do everything.
That is a jack, right? That's a jack of everything. Yeah.
They just duct tape some random crap on the outside, and they're like, "It is now an E model. It is now a B model." Like, oh, okay,
that's a wicked cool bird, man.
But it's got a maintenance short tail on it. I mean, not short. It's got a. It's not a long maintenance problem.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we got everything to fix it. We know how to fix it. You can fix it in the field, that kind of shit.
Flies forever.
And now, and the F-16 as well, right? And the A-10 too, and the B-52. But now you got all this new stuff, and it's it's like taking your new computerized car to a regular mechanic. He's like, I can't work on this thing, man. It's too much.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sound like my grandson. I don't know. I don't know. Okay.
Grandpa, I'm lifting weights. And he's like, good job.
That's all I need you to do, son. Keep doing it.
Speaking of lifting weights, Eric, what do you got for us for U.S. military history?
This is pretty cool.
I know that transition made no sense.
But short.
No,
I don't care anymore.
Smooth as hell.
Yeah, thank you.
July 1st to July 3rd, 1863. Amazing battle. Help me out. Okay, good.
Help you out. What are you talking about?
I want you to spew it because I figured you'd know it right away. So
what was the date again?
July 1st to July 3rd, 1863. The most important engagement of the American Civil War.
Shiloh.
Negative.
That's what General Petty said.
No.
Boston Tea Party.
Nope. God. The Battle of Gettysburg. Fought from July 1st to July 3rd, 1863.
I thought it was 1864.
That's where I was messed up.
That's why you're not the history guy. Sit back.
Fair enough.
So it was considered the most engagement American Civil War. After a great victory over Union forces at Chancellorsville, General Lee marched his army of Northern Virginia into Pennsylvania in late June. On July 1st, the advancing Confederates clashed with the Union's Army of the Potomac, commanded by General George Meade, at the crossroads town of Gettysburg. The next day saw ever heavy fighting as the Confederates attacked the Federals from both left and right. So everybody knows pretty much the basics of Gettysburg. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition real quick. I want to give you some numbers. You'll get a kick out of this. Well, no, you won't. But it's cool.
8, 6, 7.
So nearly 1/3 of the total forces engaged at Gettysburg became casualties.
How much? Say it again. I was bullshit.
1/3 of the total forces engaged at Gettysburg became casualties. So George Meade's Army of the Potomac lost 28% of the men involved.
Jesus.
Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia suffered over 37%.
Yeah.
Of these casualties, 7,058 were fatalities. There was 3,155 on the Union side and 3,903 on the Confederate side. Now, here's where the numbers kind of don't make sense to me. So another 33,264 have been wounded.
Yeah.
14,000 on the Union side, 18,000 on the Confederate side, and 10,790 were missing.
Missing?
Just
ran away?
I don't know.
Yeah.
5,365 Union soldiers, 5,425 Confederate soldiers were missing.
Damn.
Okay, so the last part of this little history lesson is at field hospitals around Gettysburg, amputated limbs lay in heaps and were buried together. Bodies were collected at various points on the field and interred near where they fell.
Yeah.
Elizabeth
Put it in the limb hole.
Yeah.
Put it in the limb hole.
Elizabeth Thorne, wife of the manager of the town's largest cemetery, reportedly dug over 100 graves herself, despite being pregnant.
That's a sturdy back right there.
Yeah, that's
Among the corpses found near the west side of the stone wall on Cemetery Ridge was a woman who disguised her gender to fight for the Confederacy. Reportedly, another disguised Southern woman lost a leg during the charge at Cemetery Ridge. So those were the couple things I just didn't know if you'd be familiar with. So 2 women dressed fighting on the southern side.
Right.
Pretty cool. So Gettysburg, I mean, we know the basics of Gettysburg,
Yeah.
but the fact that so many deaths and wounded and man, just
Wow. Thank God for Jeff Daniels. Otherwise, Little Round Top would have fell.
Mr. Chamberlain.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Pretty amazing.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's a lot. Like that's a lot of people in a day.
Right? Well, over 3-day
In 3
period.
days.
I like that because if you look at it, just kind of, if you just look at that portion of Pickett's charge, you're like, how stupid that was, right? But you go into the tactics of it and how they were trying to probe to the left, how they were trying to probe to the right, and come up upon Little Round Top, and Chamberlain held. And I get it. And he's like, fuck, they're strong left and right. Well, hell, they got to be weak up the middle. But the charge over, I mean, if you look at, I've never walked that ground, but if you look at the shots of that field, a couple hundred yards they had to go march in line abreast.
Wide open. Yeah.
And there were 2 fences they had to negotiate. While these guys just picked them apart over and over. I mean, you guys like, God bless.
That was the beginning of the downfall, man.
I mean, that Napoleonic concept of war was just
absurd.
Brutal.
Absurd.
So,
yeah.
Jake, what do you got, man? Are you looking up the Special Forces change of command ceremony?
I'm gonna.
Do it while I'm doing this end here, because when you see it, when I know you laugh out loud, that's when you'll see. Hey, just to remind you guys, unfortunately the day is over, but today was National Report Military Fraud Day. Oh,
that's perfect.
Yeah. It raises awareness about the extent and implications of military fraud and educates the public on monetary incentives for reporting the same to the relevant authorities.
How many reports you think they got?
Probably a shitload, man. There's a lot of axes to grind out there. And people are like, I'm reporting that son of a bitch.
Oh, right? I don't know, man.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know. I'm thinking out. Nobody gives a shit.
No, but they're going to report it. I mean, whether or not it's true. Fucking National Snitch Day.
That's perfect.
So that's January or July 2nd. I had no idea. I wonder how many days of the calendar are designated as something.
National BS Day.
Yeah, kind of, right? National Security Officer Day. It's like, oh, what? They get another day off?
I got a pen that says that. Look out.
Well.
Jake's squinting.
I know he's
The news articles.
the show's rough this week. So rough, it's kind of silenced him. I don't know.
It shows the news article shows the Zoom background.
Oh, you saw it?
Two
Yeah.
big gray dots, and
Right.
then it's clinical. Described an adult African-American man masturbating with a sexual toy in his anus. And I'm like, oh my God.
And this
That's
got
what the
broadcast.
circle is. And it's
Right,
got the
see what I
picture
said?
of the guy only with gray circles. He's like,
And that's what I told you, Eric. He wasn't angling the camera. He was angling his body for the camera.
What in the hell was he thinking, man?
Well, but then it got broadcast.
Oh,
this
And
action
that's-
is not reflective of our Army values. And we take the professionalism of our people or mission very seriously.
oh, I'm sure we do. Oh, was
Even
he
that
active duty?
even though
It's
that
a-
happens in 90% of the dorm rooms around the military.
That freaking picture is horrible.
I gotta see this, man.
You can see the soles of his feet.
Yes.
He is just full sprawled back. Just
That's why the
beat
guy
it
who
up.
made the meme of taking the screenshot of that dude and then Jeffrey from that CBT was like,
man.
Jeffrey's disappointed. He failed.
Well, I got the Army Times. No pictures on the Army Times.
Oh, no. That's Army Times ain't going to publish nothing, man. What are you on, Jake? What are you going to
You're
Man,
on
I'm on
task and-
popular
Anyway, put it in the
military.
chat, man. Let's end up this thing. This thing is
Oh man.
this thing was sick. This thing was sick this week. It needs to be-
Pornographic content hijacks Army's live stream.
There you go. That's what we should have covered that story.
Oh,
Ooh.
And the Army wants to make fun of Space Force. Look at this. Look at these guys, man.
I love the fact that they did that cyber awareness guy, Jeff, that training we all
Yeah.
go through, and they cut that over there.
Did you see the meme? That isn't that
No, I didn't
hilarious?
see the meme.
Oh,
would be
that is
so
hilarious.
funny.
Yeah, yeah.
I got
Because
Eric,
they
I
did the
put that-
response like if you take the quiz and you fail it and you got to go back and retake that module and they're like,
Yeah,
Jeff's disappointed.
you disappointed, Jeff.
There it is, Eric, in the chat. So click on that thing and enjoy like the rest of us. And for those who are listening, I have no idea what we're talking about, but a month ago, some Army Special Forces Command was being broadcast. Was it over Zoom? Did it say it was over Zoom?
Yeah, it said the Zoom.
And in the middle of the coverage, it somehow an image of a soldier who was masturbating
Won't be named.
broadcast out to everybody who was watching the change of command coverage. So
Was it like
Oh,
a
my
participant, or did
God,
they get
are
hacked?
you
they didn't. I couldn't. I don't know. I never read that far into it. I just laughed so much that
Oh
I
man,
don't know. So
Oh, that is killing
so
me.
go ahead, Army. Make fun of Space Force all you want.
Jeez.
You've
to
got
the
an
picture.
unclean house yourself.
Eric just got to the picture. He's like, "Oh man,
Oh, hurts my eyes, man.
You see what I was talking
Wow.
about?
Yes,
oh,
that's crazy. Oh,
no,
no. Dude,
it's worse from this angle."
you are forever known as a bad
Rotate.
guy now.
Rotate.
Oh, my God.
Oh yeah, yeah. But if you're gonna go out legendary, I suppose, right?
You have a
If
legacy.
that-
sir.
And he
If that's a
probably
military member and not just a hack of
Right.
somebody.
Ooh,
I wonder if he has.
going down. In
I wonder if they
folklore,
can
man.
really
Oh,
prosecute him for anything because it was like, hey, I was private, you know what I mean? But I didn't mean to hit camera on or something. I don't know. I wonder what his defense is. Right?
Unbelievable,
So.
man.
Fluid
On that
unmuted
note-
it. Pew.
Let's go ahead and end up on that note. That we probably should have covered that story, but
Oh man, that was a good one.
I know WTF Nation Radio covered it, so I didn't want to.
Good.
I didn't want to try for it too. So
Here's what I know. That guy makes every Marine staying on the ledge outside of an apartment like a golden angel boy.
That's a good point. Yeah,
You
yeah. He did surpass them.
He wasn't covered in poop, though.
Yeah, and he wasn't being woke up by a elderly or Okinawan woman.
Yeah.
Well,
International.
however,
that was all local relations, not international relations.
This guy did broadcast the soles of his feet and everything underneath to an entire audience for his Special Forces Command.
Too much. Woo.
On behalf of all us here, I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please like, share, subscribe, and let us know how we did in the comments. And make sure next week that you are not late for changeover.
Eric's going to do some extra zoom in after this.
I like it. Extra zoom in. Ben, thanks for the week. And thanks to everyone listening and watching. We'll see you next week.
Later, fellows.
All right, guys.